Okay, so I started recording. So whatever we have covered yesterday, right? The same I will repeat one more time, like VNet creations. I'm going to create two VNets today and do the pairing so that we can communicate between the machines in different VNets. Okay. So before that, let me also explain again one more time what we have discussed yesterday, so that you guys can recover it. So let me bring it up. So you guys are seeing my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, so we discussed yesterday about this thing, right? We have a VPC here, right? That we discussed, and then we are going to create the VNet. I'm going to create two VNets. This is my VPC, and this is my public subnet, and this is my private subnet. And I have an internet gateway connected. I have one router that manages the traffic for the public, and I have another router that manages my traffic for my private. And then we have created one NAT gateway service. We added private to the NAT gateway and public to the internet gateway. So if machine from public IP wanted to download anything from the internet, so it can go to the second route we have added to the internet gateway. And the private machine, if it want to download something from the internet, then it uses the NAT gateway to download the stuff from the internet. If somebody else from outside of world wanted to communicate to your machine to do SSH, then they have to use the public IP of the machine, which is a public IP. So with private IP, you cannot communicate. The public IP we can generate for the machine in public subnet and also machine in private subnet as well. So we can generate in both way. But so this A machine is only accessible. The reason behind this, so this is connected to internet gateway, which will allow inbound traffic and also outbound traffic. But whereas private, it is not connected directly to internet gateway. So this will only allow you to outbound traffic. So the connection should be initiated from the machine to go to external world to download the stuff. But if somebody wanted to get into the box from the personal laptop, which is a different network, they cannot to the private network because they don't have a inbound connectivity, because they're not using internet gateway to come inside the box. Okay, this is what overall picture that we have discussed yesterday. So today what we are going to do, so let's assume, so we have two different VPCs, two different VPCs. So now we are going to communicate between these two. This is called the pairing. The reason why we do the pairing means, so in your department, so in your company, generally people don't use just only single VPC. So they have multiple VPCs. So based on the usage. So it can be production, non-production, or it can be one department, another department, like that. So there could be some use cases that where you have to use one machine with another machine. So maybe one of the machine in this VPC wanted to talk to this machine in another VPC. So they can talk each other, because if they have public IP, if both have public IPs, then they can talk each other. But what if this is a private IP? I mean, this is a private subnet machine. So private subnet machine cannot allow internet incoming access, right? So this machine cannot talk then using public IP. So to do that, we do the pairing. So this will allow communicate between these two machines using private IP. Private IP means now these two networks are connected. So if we talk about general scenario, let's suppose you have one laptop and you have another laptop. Now you want to copy the data from one laptop to another laptop. So how you can copy? You can use some other softwares like where share it. Share it is a one software which is connected through the internet. Then it uses your Wi-Fi to copy the files from here to there. But if you don't want to use the Wi-Fi, then what we need to do? So we need to connect these two laptops through the wire. Like, so we can also do the wire connectivity. If we have a LAN cable, then you can connect these two laptops, make some configuration changes. Then this will have a private network. You don't need to have internet. Now these two are connected using a private network. And then you can copy data from here or here from here also. So this is a solution that we expect when we are working within a VPC and you want to use a private network. The reason behind why we do the peering is, so if a machine using public IP, it means you are paying money to your internet gateway. So whatever communication happens through the internet, you will pay money for using internet gateway. So let's assume if you want to copy a data worth of 1 TB, then what do? So if you transfer 1 TB data worth using internet gateway, that will give you less speed and also incur a lot of costs. So which company doesn't allow you? To avoid that, we use a peering, which can create a private link between two VPCs, and then we transfer the data with no cost. That is what the VPC peering is. Okay. So now let's go ahead and create two VPCs and see how it works. So I'm logging in. Just confirm that it is being recorded. Yeah. So again, you guys can watch how I'm going to create the VPCs. So I deleted all the VPCs. So make sure that you also delete, otherwise you will incur some losses. So first create VPC. So I'm going to create, let's suppose SUV finance. Okay, VPC. The range is 10.0.0.0/26 because we don't need those many IPs. Default tenancy name is this. So I got my first VPC created. So let's complete all the activities. Okay. So now first VPC completed, and then we need to use the internet gateway, create internet gateway. So SUV finance internet gateway IGW. So I'm going to attach it to VPC, which is SUV finance VPC. So now internet gateway is done. Then I will create the subnets. I'll just create only one subnet, which is public subnet. Okay. So finance public 1A. So this is the VPC availability zone. You choose 1A, and the range I already have it here 27, which is going to 32 IPs. So subnet is also done. I'll go to the route table. Route table already got created. I'll just rename this. So we finance route table. This is done. So I have a route subnet also associated. Now I am going to add a route so that we have internet gateway so that we can connect to the box. So edit route, destination 0, internet gateway, this internet gateway connect. So my machine is completely set up. Okay. So we can also enable this. If you go to the VPCs, you select this VPC. So you have some options here. Enable edit DNS resolutions. There is an option where we can say by default you will get the public IP. Uh, Edit DNS host names. Yeah, if you say enable, it will automatically assign the DNS names, and also there is an option where you can enable the public IP association automatically. Anyway, that's not important. So we are done. So subnet is created, route is created, internet gateway is created. So let's create one machine. So I am going to launch a machine first. So launch instance. So not the default finance one, public subnet, 27 IP is available, enable, I'm taking public IP. And then review and launch. So my machine is getting launched. While it comes, so let's create another VPC now. So again, I go back to VPC service. So now your VPCs, create VPC. So this is going to be HR VPC. This block is 10.1.0.0 slash. We can do another CADR block. Why we always have to use the same one, 24/7 site CADR calculator. So rather than, so /8 is giving me these many IPs. So I don't want these many. So it's going to be 10.1.0.0 slash 28. So 28 gives me 16 IPs. Okay. So if I want to create two subnets, I need to use /29. So which gives me 8 IPs in one subnet. So this is good. I don't want many, so that's fine. So I'm using this block 28. So HR create VPC. So I got the VPCs created, right? HR VPC also got created. Now let me add the internet gateway. Create internet gateway. My HR internet gateway. I'm going to attach this to the VPC, HR VPC. So internet gateway is also attached. Now subnets. Create subnet. SUV public 1B. So I choose HR VPC. Availability zone is 1B. So CADR block. So I want to create this subnet, right? This is the start of the subnet address /29 /29 is invalid. Why?
It's 28, I believe.
No, 28 is a CADR block. The subnet mask is 29 I have chosen. So maybe it doesn't have so many IPs here. If I take, is invalid. I think it is not falling in that range. So let me must be IPv4. Okay. So let's do one thing rather than one subnet, just make it one subnet. So /28 also works. We just need one subnet. Yeah, subnet got created because it is not allowing because it has less IPs. So we got 11 IPs got created for this subnet. So now we need to go ahead and update our route table. So this is our HR. I'll just remove this one. SUV HR route table. So we got routes are here. Edit the route. add route, so to the destination. So this is going to be internet gateway, my HR1 done. So we successfully saved now. So now we have two VPCs like this. So we have now, this step done. So what we have done here, this is what we have done, right? This is a finance one and this is HR one. Okay, and we have also added internet gateway, and we launched a machine here. Okay, so now it has a public IP, and this also has a public IP. So from this box, let's suppose this is machine A and this is machine B. So machine A can talk to machine B over public IP, and machine B can also talk to machine A over public IP. So now we wanted to use a private address so that we can join these two VPCs paired. Okay, so let's see that how it works. So did we launch the machine for this EC2? No, we did not launch. We just have only one machine. So let's me launch the machine for HR as well. So this is the network. I use HR and the same public and enable the public IP as well. So now we have both instances up and running. So now this is my one box. Now let me open another box. So now I have two machines. So distracting. Yeah. So now I have two terminals here. Okay. So I'm going to connect my first finance one here. So this is the so let me open. So this is coming from finance VPC ID. So I'll copy this IP. So SSH minus I SUV EC2 underscore user at this guy. So connected. So I'm into the box, which is 10.0 series. So now let me connect the HR IP as well. This is a HR1 and it has this public IP. So now I connected. See, this is the 4 and this is the 29. So both are connected each other. The reason behind this, so we have added internet gateway and it also has a public IP. So now we connected, which is good. So now I can copy data from here to here, okay, using public IP. So how can I do the public IP? So since we shared the keys, I am going to uh, change this target machine's SSH config so that we can connect through the password, okay. So I'm editing that configuration slash etc sshd config. The memory is not installed. I use vi, but /etc/sh. Sorry, I misspelled.
Config spelling.
sshd config. So we need to look for the password. So where do we see password? Password authentication is no, but now I'm making it as a yes, right? So I need to set the password for EC2 user as well. I'm going to use the same user. So what is the command to set the password for an user? Forgot. passwd EC2 user. So I'm setting the password for EC2 user. So if you don't mention the username, then you are setting password for this user itself. Okay, just make sure that whenever you execute the command, you always give the username without forget. So I use the same EC2 user only. So now password is added. Okay, so now let me try to connect this box. Now I'm back to EC2 user. I need to restart the SSH. Sudo systemctl restart SSHD. The reason behind is, so we made configuration changes. If you want to have the configuration changes implemented, then we need to restart that. So now I'm going to connect this box. So same, this is my HR. I'm going to copy the IP address, SSH, EC2 user at this guy. Asking for the password. See, I got into the box now, which is this IP, this IP. I'm using public IP here, right? So if I want to copy the data from here to here, I have to, of course, use the public IP. I'm exiting again. So what is the command to SCP? Sorry, what is the command to copy the files over?
CP.
Yeah, I split it. So SCP, I want to copy this file. I want to copy under the UCT user in this box, right? In this box. So where you want to copy? At the home directory itself.
Destination.
Yeah, the file got copied. If I do ls-lntr, I have this file. So just 0 KB file which got successfully transferred. But if it is a 1 terabyte file, then it takes a lot of time, right? And also you have to have internet. So you are using internet gateway. So what if HR department is so critical that the machines in that VPC are all private? They're not public. So you don't get the public IP for those. They're all private. So in that case, we cannot connect from a box using public IP because none of the machine has the internet connectivity, internet gateway to route the traffic, right? So we have to use a private IP only. So if you want to try to connect through the private IP, this is the IP of this box. If you use the command /IPA, IP space A, that gives the IP address. This is the IP address of the HR machine. So now let me try to connect. EC2 user, this. What's happening? Is it going? No,
It won't.
because we don't have the connectivity because both are two different networks. It is similar to like I have my network, you have your VPC. So I can also create a VPC with 10.0.0.0/26 series. You can also create the same VPC with same series because those are all private. So private ranges can be duplicated. There is no issue because they're all two different networks. So when you try to join them together, then you have to have a unique ones. So now if you observe our VPCs, so if I go to VPC, so we have two different VPCs here and the range is also different, which is 10.1 series and 10.0 series. The IPs are going to be different here and there. Now let's try to join these two VPCs together and see what we get. Okay, so before that, let me just see the list the IPs of this. Can I see the list of IPs here? No, right? List the IPs in a CADR range. So mine is 10.0.0.0/28. Yeah, all are 26 I used. Yeah, all are 10.0. So I don't have any IP conflict. Okay. So now I am going to pair it. So how do we pair it? There is an option here. We see where is the pairing? Yeah, pairing connection. You see? Now we are going to pair the connectivity. I go here pairing. So we don't have any pairing connectivity. That's like requesting. Now I click on the create pairing. So we need to give a naming. So SUV, finance, and HR. This is pairing, right? So we need to give a proper naming called pairing. Okay. And then requester. So who is requesting the access? In the connectivity also, you have two types of access. So like if you talk about this one, so in the connectivity also, you have two types of requests. So I have two VPCs, right? So you can only allow this direction only. Like this is finance and this is HR. So only finance team can talk to the HR. The same way HR, you can also block it. And you can also allow it. Two types. It based on your requirements. Okay. But here, let's see, we are going to connect both together. So who is requesting? So I request from finance. Okay. Finance team, this is the address. So here we also have some more options here. So everything is in AWS, right? So my VPC, your VPC, whoever is having AWS account, everything is in AWS. So the VPC can be connected between my own or intra organizations. So I can connect my VPC with your VPC as well. We can talk in a private network. The reason why we choose this, let's suppose you are running a website, maybe you are running a website that requires some data. So that data is available from a third party. So third party also in AWS. I am also in AWS. So when both are in AWS, rather than we using internet gateway, then we can use a private network to save some cost. So that way we can also connect between two different VPCs and within an account or multi accounts. Okay. So here we are using my account only. I use my account. Okay. So both are in same region, US East one only. Okay. So who is the acceptor? So acceptor is the requester is finance one. Okay. And the acceptor is HR one. See, this guy requesting go into 10.1 series. Now, if you want to add a tag, add the tag is always recommended. Name, you can say SUV finance to HR pairing. Okay. The name tag already has a value. Okay. Name tag already has a value. I'll remove that. So my VPC pairing got created. So here you see VPC acceptance. Just because somebody is requesting, it cannot be created immediately. The target one who is actually getting impacted, they have to approve it. Then only the VPC pairing gets approved. Okay, since it's both are in my account, I can quickly go ahead and approve this one because they're all my account both, right? So I go here, what actions? I can accept this because it's within my account, right? If it is multi-account, the target will get this request. So I accepted the request. So it is now active. Okay, so now what we have done is, this is what we have done. So we have VPC and we have another VPC. We just created another pairing. That's it. Now, even though we have pairing, it doesn't work. Because of, tell me why?
Route tables.
Net
Perfect.
gateway we didn't use.
Internet gateway. Okay.
Yeah, so perfect. The router Router is the one, right? Like a traffic manager. He actually routes the traffic. So he says first local. So if somebody is asking for the data within a VPC, use this one. If somebody asking for data like 0.0./0, which is internet, go internet gateway. Now we need to inform because this range is 10.0.0.0 and this range is 10.1.0.0. So we need to write a third rule saying that, so if any request comes to from this VPC to any range of this 28, right? 27 something, any range, then use the VPC gateway. So we need to add that route rule saying that if any machine from this range is asking, I mean, whoever connected to this router, the subnet, asking for a request to connect to one of this IP range, then use the VPC peering gateway. That is what we need to add now. So let's go ahead and add that. So if you want to try, we can give a try before adding it. So I'm just using same IP address. Still it is not working. So I close this. I go here. So I need to update my routing tables. So first I need to go to the route table, which is the finance one. Okay. Route, edit routes, add route. So here, what is your destination? So what destination is going to be? So destination is your target VPC range. Okay, so this VPC, this is my finance, which is this range, and my HR is this range. So if from this box, from any subnet that are connected to the router, asking to connect to this IP, one of the IP from this range, then use a VPC peering gateway. So we need to copy this one and then go to the route tables, finance route table, edit, add. So this range. If anybody asking for this IP range, now here, which gateway we need to use? Peering connection. We have the peering connection coming up here. See, save route. It's added. Now let's see if it works or not now. We just added it, right? Now let's see. I try again. It is not working. We added it, right? We added, but it's not working. Why? Because of the routing again. So this is what we did. This is VPC, this is VPC, and this is peering, and this is your router, and this is also a router. Okay, this router has now 3 rules: 1 local, 2 internet, 3 is VPC. So this route, when a machine asked for a request, it allowed the connectivity. Use this. So from here it is working fine. Now the request has gone to here, this VPC. This is finance and this is HR. So request came here. So request reached to router, but router doesn't know where to route the traffic, right? So because this connected to VPC, it is not added to this route rule. So once we add this rule to the router, so once the request reach to this VPC, then this router picks up the request and then forward the same to corresponding machine. So we need to add the routing rule in the target as well. Okay, that's why it is not working. So now let me try. So to troubleshoot that in company, if when you try the SSH, if it is not working, so what do? We execute the command called nmap. Nmap is not installed here. Let me install quickly. Sudo yum install nmap. A troubleshooting setup. So I'm trying to SSH to this box, but it is not giving me anything. So we may suspect that this box is down. So you want to verify whether that box is actually having connectivity or not. So in that case, we use the nmap, and this is the IP address -p port 22. But oh, sorry, I misspelled the nmap. Say it is requesting for the access, verifying. It says host seems down. If it is really up but blocking our pings, try -pn something. So let me try -pn, but caps p.
Caps lock.
Yeah, so it is not working. It says some invalid argument. We can also do the telnet as well. Telnet is not installed again. Telnet is deprecated. We're not supposed to use it. So in case in interview question someone asks if the target machine is not responding, or you want to verify whether ports opened or not, then what do you do? So we used to use the telnet command, now which is deprecated, so no one uses it. So we use the nmap command with the -v, which is a verbose mode, and the target IP followed by the port. So -p option 22. So this will give you whether the port is opened or not. Okay, so it looks like it is not going because we did not add the ICMP protocol allowed. That is the reason. So now it is still not working. Now let's me go ahead and update the route table. So I go to the now HR route table. Okay, see it's not there. I go to the edit route, add route. Now what is the source? It is going to be 10.0.0.0/26. This is the finance one. So when you are editing the finance route table, so in destination, you need to add the HR ones. So when you are editing HR route tables, you need to add the destination of finance. So finance destination is this, right? Let me just
So
cross
the
verify.
connection should be like in two-way, like
Yes.
the routing. Yeah.
Mhm. So we have this your VPC here. So the finance one range is /26. Yeah, sorry. Oh man, it is so slow. So finance is, this is the range. So I'll copy finance subnet, sorry, finance ADR range. I go to the route tables, HR1, association, sorry, routes, edit route, add route. This is the one, and is a pairing one. This is the one, save route. So now route is added successfully. Now let's give a try. Okay. See, you got the response back. Connected. This is how we do the pairing between two different VPCs. See, now I use the private IP address to connect from this box. That's what the VPC pairing is here. So now I'll explain in a diagram one more time. So we have VPC and we have another VPC here, right? This is finance and this is HR. So we created one subnet and we created one subnet and we have one routing here. We have one routing. Sorry. Right. So we also have an internet gateway. We added this one and we added a rule. So here we also have an internet gateway here. So this is the subnet associated this route. And then we also added an internet gateway to this. I have a machine here and I have a machine here. So these machines have their own public IPs because they can route it through the internet. Okay, so now public IP is there. So if this is HR is completely protected zone, then and we wanted to use a private network, then we did a pairing between these two, and then we added a route to here as well. So this says 10.1.0.0 and this says 10.0.0.0.0 and this internet gateway is 0.0.0.0.0. So if this machine is asking to download the data from Google, then the router will send the traffic to this guy. If this machine wanted to connect to one of the machine in this range, then it will use the pairing one. Okay, so technically, so this is a similar setup. So now what we can do in a typical scenario in a company, so you would be having like this. So this is a VPC and this is another VPC. You have this thing. This is connected to internet gateway and you have subnets here. You have router and you both do the pairing. Connected to this, and this has a internet gateway. This one doesn't have it. So this finance one has it. The HR doesn't have the internet gateway. So all the machines in this VPC becomes now what? Private because they're not connected to internet gateway. So if you want to connect to the machines which are in private network, then you need to first log in to the machine that has internet gateway. Okay, so this gets a public IP. You use this public IP to connect from your laptop. All right, so once you connect it, then you use a private IP of this machine to connect it. So from your laptop to the public IP of this one. Let's suppose this is a machine A and this machine B. You connect this from there. You use private IP of machine B. So if you want to get into the B box, you need to first connect to the A box. From there, you need to connect to the B box. So how does it work? Because they have done the pairing between these two. Okay, in a company, you don't do this in general, but it's a good to know the knowledge. Okay, so that's what about VPC pairings and the VPC for today. So let me see what else we have here that I can cover. So elastic IPs. So these elastic IPs are like public IPs. So public IPs means so whenever you create a machine and you request for an IP, which is public IP, AWS can give you. Okay. So if you want to reserve that public IP, because whenever you shut down the machine, whenever you start the machine, the public IP changes. But if you want to keep the public IP same, then you need to request one here. You need to request one here, then you can assign it which your machine you want. So in technically, this is how it works. So you first get, you register the public IP first. So which is a public IP that has 3.1.3.60. Okay, so you spin up your VM first and it has a private IP. With private IP, you cannot access, right? Then you can assign this public IP to this box. Okay, and then you spin up another box. So this machine is having some problem now. Machine 1. You spin up machine 2. This has a different private IP again. This is a 1 and this is 2. Okay, so if you want to use the same public IP of this to this box, you can also use it. So now when someone access the same IP address, they will be directed to the machine 2. That is the elastic IP. Elastic means flexible. That's what it is. So we can also use it between the machines. So I will quickly show one demo on this. So let me first generate the allocate elastic IP address. So I Amazon pool IP addresses allocate one. So now I got one public IP. Okay, currently it is not assigned to anyone. So everything is empty here, right? Now I will assign this to some running instance. So let's suppose I have a subnets now, EC2. So running instances. Oh, sorry, EC2 dashboard. Running instances. This is the instance ID. So it has a public IP of this, right? So let me see if I can. It doesn't have any elastic IP here. That is the reason. And maybe let me create a machine. Running instance, launch instance. Red Hat. So I'm using finance one. So I disable this. So I'm not assigning any public IP now. Okay, I disabled this one. Launch the machine. SUV.
So here we can create how many we want that machines.
We can create as many as you want. That is not working. Elastic IP. What? So I just taken a box. So this is a box. It doesn't have the public IP. Okay. I just have the private IP. So if I want to connect to this box, can I connect? No, because
No, you have
there
to
is no
add it.
public IP. There is no public IP. So here, so we can assign the public IP to this machine. So let me check where we assign that. Maybe let me go Elastic IP directly and then assign from there. Elastic IPs. See, allocate Elastic IP address. No. Associate Elastic IP address. So once you select that, so we get the instance. So which instance you wanted to try. So which instance you want to running? I want to assign this to Elastic IP test one. Okay. So private IP address automatically comes. That now my machine has got the new Elastic IP. So if I go to the instances, EC2 dashboard, go to the running machine instances. See, this is my Elastic IP test one. So now it has the public IP address. Why it is? See, it has got the public IP address. So now if I shut this machine down, this public IP address will be taken back to my account. So this IP is reserved. This doesn't change. So I can use this IP address to change multiple machines. So let's try to assign the same public IP to another machine that already has a public IP. Just for testing purpose. Okay. So now I need to go to Elastic IPs here and then actions, disassociate. Now I'm just removing this. So now this machine no more has this Elastic IP. See, it is gone. It is now free now. So if I go and verify in this box, I don't have the public IP assigned to my test machine. This is a test machine. See, there is no public IP. It is gone. So now I assign that Elastic IP address to this box. See, so this box already has a public IP. Private IP is this one, 10.1.0.4. Okay, so now I assign to this box. Let's see. I go to the Elastic IPs, associate, instance. So which instance? Okay, I'll pick this one, not this one. This one. See, 1.4 associate. It got associate. Now if I go to my EC2 dashboard here, running instances. See, this has my new public IP address, which is that I had requested, 143.7. This is the way how you can use the Elastic IP address. The reason why we use Elastic IP address is for this purpose. So in your company, so you have a machine. Okay, so you have your machine. This is one machine. This is two machine. This is third machine. Okay, so if you are accessing this every day from your laptop, then yes, you need to have a public IP for every machine. Okay, so but you access these machines rarely, only one at a time. So if you have 4 public IPs, then you need to pay the cost of 4 public IPs, right? So let's suppose each public IP is $10. So you will end up paying $40. So to avoid that, what we do in a company, so you have same machines. You just take one public IP, that is Elastic public IP. Now you first assign to this box whenever you want to access the machine 1. So once you are done, you disassociate this. If you want to access a third box, you assign the same thing to third box. And then you disassociate this. And the same way to the 4 box. So technically, you are paying only to one public IP. So which you just get $10. So which is better? Elastic IP?
Elastic IP.
Yep,
Because
that's the
it's only
reason we
$10.
use this. The reason, this is one use case. Another use case is the public IP here, the changes. Whenever you shut down the machine, start the machine, or restart the machine, public IP changes. But if you want to preserve the public IP as same IP address, because maybe you are running a service and you gave the public IP to your customers, right? So they are using that public IP. So if your instance got rebooted or you change the VM, public IP changes, right? And then you have to inform every time. So whenever you change your IP address, you inform to your customers, then what they do? They go crazy. So that's why you take one Elastic IP address and use it for all the purpose so that the IP remains changed. You just change the underlying VM that is associated. Okay, that's what the use case of your public IPs, sorry, elastic IPs. Clear? Okay, so now let's check what do we have here. We have endpoint service as well. So we'll discuss endpoint service. And then we have network ACS and security groups. So I will discuss these two. So when we discuss on the EC2. Okay, so let me go ahead and check the EC2 once. Yeah, EC2 is not going to be very big. It will be quick. And then we have load balancer and target group. This will take complete 1 day. This will take complete 1 day. Okay, let's do one thing. So let's take a small break of 10 minutes and then we can continue with the EC2. So we'll finish the class by 10 today. Okay. So any doubts on VPC by the way? You didn't understand anything, any concept?
Sir, VPC, we did it for like two subnets, right? Like, I mean, if it is three, then again we have to do the same way, right? I mean,
No, the VPC pairing is actually between the VPCs. So how many subnets you have, it's up to you. So its routing table are important. So whether you want to allow the traffic or not. So let's suppose this is your VPC, right? So now let me talk about this. So this is your VPC, okay? And this is your another VPC. So here let's assume you have 4 subnets, okay? So to make your security proper, you have added multiple routers. So you have router 1, router 2, router 3, router 4. So you have 4 routers. So each and every subnet is having its own router. Okay. So VPC pairing is just going to make the connectivity to your VPC. That's it. It just provide the chain. And after that, you need to assign the rule inside the router, which router you wanted to allow it. So maybe the subnet 4 is actually very secure. So you should not allow any connectivity. So in that case, you keep the router separate, okay? Then you don't add that route table. So that even though you have VPC connectivity, if somebody trying from here to machine here, it will not work. The reason behind is VPC is paired, but the route table is not updated. So it doesn't allow the
router.
traffic.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the reason. So what, Prakash, you are laughing? What happened? No, you are in mute.
Oh, it's nothing. It's not related to question.
Okay. Just don't get distracted.
No,
Okay.
like what I usually do is I just listen
Mhm.
in classes, and then next 5 days I practice. And actually, I'm also looking at other resources for AWS because I actually want to do a couple of certifications when I in my class for
Yeah,
AWS.
I will help you that with the certifications. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm thinking to start with cloud practitioner and go to solution architect. I
yeah,
think
we will
that helps
discuss. Yeah,
us.
I will discuss in detail about those certifications. How you can actually clear it easily.
Yeah, like I'm just
Sure,
looking
sir.
on. There is a course in Udemy. It's 84.99. I added to my wish list. I think it will go to 9.99 in a couple of days.
Yeah,
It
don't
happens
worry,
easily.
sir. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do that later as well. So in the class, just you can check here, and then I'll explain you how to do that all the courses easily. Okay, no worries.
Yeah, like no, I'm listening. I'm
Yeah,
listening.
okay,
It's
yeah.
not
So
a problem. But
cool.
because I cannot do along with you, That's why I always only listen and try to get as much as possible.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
And after classes, after two classes in, I never practice after first class, right after first class,
Okay.
because I know it's not going to help me. I need
Okay.
more time to practice it. So I always make sure I take two classes and then go through the video and write some notes if I can,
Mm-hmm.
and then actually practice it. So
Yeah, yeah.
I
Cool.
have a
So
different way of studying.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So any doubts,
No, no.
others? Yeah. So then we can catch up at 9:20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. 9:20 we'll meet again. Zoom recording. Okay. So let's discuss on the EC2. So we are almost complete on the VPC. So whichever important topics are there, so we covered. So let's talk on the EC2 side and see what do we have here. So events, tags, limits that we will cover later. So let's discuss. So we have been launching the machines just like as it is, right? So now let's go in detail. What are those options available when launching the machine? Okay, I launch the machine now. So you get this page. So this talks about your AMI. So what is AMI? AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. So image means it is already pre-built. So when you go to purchase some cloths, okay, so they're all stitches. Like when you want to buy a jeans, technically, so you buy a cloth and then you go to a tailor, then you get it mended, and then your dress is ready. But now everything is instant. So you just go to the shop, they have jeans ready, they have t-shirt ready, they have shirt ready, they have pant ready. So everything is ready made, right? That is what AMI is. So AMI talks about what type of machine you want, like how many softwares you want it to be pre-configured. The moment your OS comes up, it has all the required softwares already configured. So we don't need to do anything. That's what about AMI. So AMI has so many options here. So far we have been using only Red Hat because most of the companies uses Red Hat. We also have Amazon Linux. So Amazon itself provides a Linux software, which is sorry OS. We have SUSE Linux and we have Ubuntu as well. And there are so many others. Like if we talk about this deep learning based AMI, so this maybe contains some other packages which are required, which are pre-configured. So these details can be read by here. So this has NVIDIA Docker. So if you take this one, this also has these many softwares pre-configured like Docker, NVIDIA Docker, everything. Okay. So if you go down, so there are so many options available, but we don't generally need those unless you wanted to use it and you have a use case. So let's pick up the Amazon Linux here. So we have been using Red Hat. Let's pick up the Amazon Linux. I choose same Amazon Linux here. So now this talks about your tier. So with what type of tier you want to purchase here. So far we have been using T2 micro because that comes as a free tier eligible. None of them are not, none of the others are available as a free. So it says we have one vCPU and 1 GB RAM. So far we have been using this configuration. But when you talk about the company, we don't generally use this much of low. Based on your application needs, we pick up at least 4 by 16. 4 by 16 or 2 by 8 or 8 by 32. It depends upon your need. So if you just want to spin up a static website like HTTPD, you don't need to go for this much of high configuration, because if you go this high configuration, the price changes. So whatever resources you want, it completely based on the price. If you put more price, you get better and more configured machine. But our use case, we have been using this. So here, if you talk about T2 micro and then C series and then M series and then D series, G series, what are all these? So these each and every series has its own significance. Okay, so let's talk about first T series. So T series are all general purpose. So like normally we want to install one application, we install it. For that, we pick up all the T series machines. So if you want some memory optimized machines, then there are some other range. So if you talk about the C range, so C range is talking about CPU, I think. So they have more CPUs. If you want your machine a CPU intense, then you probably go for this C4 8X large. That it gives you 36 CPU and 60 GB RAM. Okay, and then if your machine is a memory intensive, then probably you will pick up the memory intensive one, which is M4, M series, I think. Yeah, M series. So M series give you memory optimized. These are all give you good memory and then required CPU. M series. So each and every have their own series names. So we generally pick T2 purpose for normal application. If you're running application that is memory intense, we pick up memory intense one. CPU, we pick up CPU intense one. Okay. So for our purpose, we are choosing this T2 micro and then click on the details. So this gives you an option to fill how many instances you want. You can pick up as many instances as you want. Let's suppose you want 4 instances, you want 5 instances, you want 6 instances. You can pick up based on your need. So for us, we just need 1 instance. And then purchasing options. The spot instances, I will cover it here. The network, we know based on VPC, you can choose. If you don't pick up, by default, there's a one VPC created by Amazon when we launched our EC2 machine. You can also create VPC from here as well. Subnet, you pick up subnet in which you wanted to create. Auto assign public IP. Generally, we disable this feature. The reason behind this, we don't want to expose each and every VM with a public IP because it's an unnecessarily cost and an exposed risk. That's why we disabled it. We disable this option here, and then we use elastic public IP to assign the IPs to the VM whichever we want to use. Okay, the placement groups. So what is placement groups here? So placement groups are nothing but a closed, I'll tell you. So this is your VPC, right? Okay, so maybe we don't need to discuss VPC on here. So placement groups means, so when we talk about a general server, so VM is actually like this. So you have, this is called blade. Some people call rack as well. Okay, some people call bare metal. So bare metal means this has a CPU. So CPU means, let's suppose 650 CPUs, and then it has a 1024 GB RAM. This is a blade. So on top of this, so they install the hypervisor. This is for knowledge only. Okay, hypervisor. On top of this here, we have a EC2 machines. So this is my T2 micro EC2. This can be Anusha's EC2. This can be Rani's EC2, anyone's. Okay. So we don't know, we don't control that. So in our matter, we just only focus on this machine. So where it is launching, what is the capacity of the blade, we don't know about all this. Okay. So if you want your application is intensive, let's suppose you have one application which runs in one VM, which is app, and you have another module that runs a DB in a VM itself. So now when you create, like they have so many hundreds of blades. So your machine may spin up here and maybe on another blade, right? So communicating between these two has some milliseconds of latency, right? So this is we don't control. But if you want all your VMs to be created closely on same blade like this as a group, this is called the placement groups. So why do we choose that? So if you have all your softwares configured in a, all your VMs launched on the same blade, so it uses local and it is very fast. It provides very fast network. So if you talk about our Wi-Fi router, okay, so we have Wi-Fi router at home. Okay, so if you sit close to Wi-Fi router, then you get good bandwidth. So if you go further, what happens? You get the bandwidth but less. If you get some more far, you get bandwidth but very less speed. The same way here. So if you have multiple blades and two VMs are two different blades and they are trying to communicate each other, then there is a communication bit lag. If you have all the VMs on same place, then you get good speed. So if you want to have a machine like this, then we need to pay money for that. That is called the placement groups. So which we don't use it here now. Okay. So just ignore that one. And capacity reservation. So capacity reservation means, so now we have been launching T2 micro machines. So let's suppose you need a machine that needs 64 CPU and 600 RAM. So do you think is it easy to get AWS to provide that much of configuration? No, right? So that's why you need to reserve your capacity. Like I need this much of configuration machine from this date to this date. Let's talk about, we have now deals are going on. So in November we get Thanksgiving deals, right? So in Thanksgiving deals, the Amazon.com every day 1,000 users are accessing, but during Thanksgiving day 2,000 users access because they have a deals over there. So you know the dates between the November Thanksgiving day 1 week. So you have expectation that users are expected to access my Amazon Prime between these dates, and the users are going to be increased by 100%. So in that case, the current configuration doesn't support. So you can request in advance. So from this date to this date, I want this much of configuration of VMs. If you request them, they will allot it. Or you can also reserve your capacity for complete 1 year. So in next year, I have a plans of installing multiple applications. So I need the capacity reservation. That talks about your reservation here. Okay. Now we choose open because we will pick whichever is available. And then domain join directly. This is, I think, Active Directory. So if you have your Active Directory set up in a company, then rather than you using EC2 user and the password are the key. So if you join this VM to the Active Directory, then whatever credentials we used to log in to the Office network, the same credentials we can use to log into the box as well. And this is IAM role. I will discuss about IAM role when we talk about IAM. Okay. And then CPU options. So we just pick it whatever we want. Shutdown behavior. Shutdown behavior means, so when you shut the machine down, what you want me to do? Shall I just stop the machine or terminate the machine? So be careful when you're choosing this. So you have shutdown behavior as a stop. If you choose terminate, you just when accidentally click on shutdown, the complete machine is vanished. So again, you have to recreate the VM. So we always choose the stop. So if you are working on a machines that are short-lived, like for testing purposes, then you can choose terminate. So there is no problem of deleting it completely. And then stop hibernate. Yeah, hibernation means it is like sleeping. Like you might have heard this, like polar bears or bear, they go hibernation during some season, right? Like they completely go sleep and get up. Similarly, hibernation here, like they completely take your machine offline. So when you want, they'll bring it up to save the machine. And then protect against accidental termination. So if someone accidentally click on terminate VM, let's suppose you
Lokesh,
are, yeah,
yeah, if you are in a hibernate, so it will sleep, right? It will take the memory. Our system is take the usage at the time if you are put it in hibernate.
mhm.
That's like a stop or something else. Hibernate means.
It's just like in your machine also you
It
have
can you,
hibernation. Yeah,
so it can use
yeah,
our
yes,
data.
yes. Hibernation stops your instance and saves the contents of the instance RAM to the root value. It's nothing but whatever
Okay.
applications are you have opened, everything will be stored in the disk. So when you launch it,
Mhm.
it comes up automatically.
Okay. Thank you.
This protection, we know that. Accident termination, like if someone accidentally terminates the machine, let's suppose you are running a production application, but you do have some newly joined folks to the team, so they don't know about anything. They were playing around with the AWS, they clicked on termination accidentally. Now what happens? your VM goes off, right? Again, you have to bring up a new VM, install the configuration, assign the EAP, everything you have to do again. To avoid that, we can also protect the accidental termination as well. Even though you try to forcefully terminate, it doesn't do that. And enable CloudWatch detail monitoring. So by default, AWS provides monitoring, so where you can monitor the VMs, like in terms of network input, network output, throughput, memory, not memory, and CPU, disk, everything. So if you want to enable detailed, so currently the AWS monitors a VM every 5 minutes interval. But if you're running a production application and you want to monitor every minute, then you need to enable the detailed monitoring. That is, again, pay for that. Whatever we do in the cloud, everything is tied to the cost. So we have to be very careful when choosing the services. Again, tenancy. Tenancy again is like you have a separate blade assigned to you, so that you will launch all your host or your machines in that VM only. Again, dedicated tenants is again paid, so we don't go for that. We always go for the shared one. So if the companies like banks or some other critical companies, so they go for shared dedicated tenancy. The reason behind is they don't want some third party VMs to be launched on their blade. That's the reason. And then elastic interfaces, add an elastic interface accelerator. I don't know about this. Efficient hardware acceleration for deep learning instance of day. I think it is going to change your resources elastically based on the load. I don't know about this option. Create specification, unlimited. So this is going to provide the burst. So let's suppose if many people are accessing your application, your CPU is actually going high. In that case, this guy will help you if you have it. And then file systems. So we don't want to use file system now. Let's leave it as it is. And then advanced details. So what this advanced details is? So you see the user data here. So user data means, so let's suppose I'm launching this machine for my website. So for my website, I need to have HTTPD installed, which is a static website, right? So what I can do, I can launch the VM, I can log into the box, and then I can install the HTTPD package. You can do this way, or you can also instruct here. So if you run a command here, so this command will be executed during VM boot up process. So once the VM comes online, then whatever script we have written will be run as a root. So let's suppose I wanted to install this one. So I can write a small script here. So I would say sudo yum install -y httpd. Now this command, this script will be executed once the VM comes up automatically. And then what I'm saying here, I'm asking it to install it. So this will install the HTTPD automatically. So when I log into this box, I have this package already installed. You can also do as many as you want. You can also copy, you can also download some stuff and then copy it. You can configure it, everything. That is the user data. And then talk about storage. So currently we have been just using only 8 gig storage, right? We can also change the storage. If you change the storage, they will charge you more. So for testing purposes, you can just keep 8 here. In a company, if they ask you to create a machine with 100 GB disk root volume, then you can create the root here. Okay. You can also attach multiple volumes as well. You can also attach multiple volumes here. Okay. Let's suppose this will be used for the root purpose and this will be assigned. Then we need to mount this. This I will discuss during the EBS topic. Okay. So I just close this one. Add tags. So tags are very important. So whenever you are writing the tags, make sure that you tag it properly. So tags are very important. So whichever tags are is for. So owner is going to be like this. So you have a project, you have a owner, you have a contact email, you have some cost center tags, you have your manager tags, whatever it is, or environment tag. So tags are mandatory. So based on the tags, so you can retrieve how many resources are currently running and how much their cost is. So if someone knows that okay, this VM is actually belong to these people, then they can contact directly as well. Okay, so I'm going to also add the environment production. So when they say this production, no one generally don't delete it. Okay. So now I configure security group. Now talk to security group. So security group means this bit is important. So I have this VM, right? So now I launch the VM. This is my VM. Okay. What is security group? Security group means completely this is blocked. So this is protected. Your VM is protected. So nobody can access it by default. All the incoming and outgoing traffic is blocked. So if you want to allow something, then we need to open a port. We need to open a port. Sorry. No, it is going everything. So currently we have this completely blocked by security group. So now we need to open up a port. So port means the way where you can enter, can go. So currently we are using SSH, right? To log into the box. SSH has a default port called 22. It's a standard. And if somebody accessing HTTP, then it is 80. If somebody accessing HTTPS, then it is 443. Somebody accessing RDP, it is RDP port is 3. I don't remember RDP port. And you can also have a custom ports as well. So I want to access in 8080. You can also open 8080 as well. So this all security group control. So we need to open up the port. Open up port means, so if somebody wanted to access, so it's allowed. So now I open 22. 22 is allowed. So if my application inside is running on port 80, okay, so application is running. If somebody wanted to access it, I need to first let people enter on port 80. So then I can route the traffic. This is what the port is. So all the VMs by default are protected. Then we need to open up a security group and open up the ports, inbound and outbound rules. Security groups by default are stateful. The moment you open port 22 for incoming, by default outgoing also allowed. Okay, that's what the stateful. These are security groups. So we cover it. So in Linux, we call it the IP tables. So where we protect the ports by writing it. Okay. But in AWS, we have security groups. So in case when you're trying to access one service and you cannot access it, it's all because of security group. It is not allowed. Okay. So when you are creating VM, by default, this gets opened because 22 is a SSH standard port. Okay. Now let's me check RDP as well. So we have RDP here. Do you see RDP here? Yeah, RDP. So RDP is 3389. So if someone access through 3389, then remote desktop. So we can allow to do remote desktop. Okay. So I just close this. I'm just adding the 22 now. I launch it and then launch. So key, we know the key. So which key we are using. So either you want to use whichever key you want to. I'm using this key now at the moment. I use this. My machine is launched. This is what my machine is. So in my user data, I have added that it needs to be installed HTTPD. The moment I access my VM, my HTTPD will be up and running now. Let's see that. Okay, so I will go to the box. This is my launching. So I rename this one as my HTTPD server. Okay. It is still pending. It's running now. So public IP is not there because we have disabled it, right? When we are launching it, no worries. So we have elastic IP, which we will assign it. I go to elastic IP now. So I go here. Is it associate already? Yes, it is associated. Now I need to first deassociate that, make it free, and then I need to associate it. So I click on this associate elastic IP address. So choose the instance, which instance? HTTPD instance, and this is the private IP associate. So now I go to my instance dashboard. I got the IP address. So now let me access this box. Come out, come out. SSH -I EC2 user. See, now I got into the box. So I said that install HTTPD, right? Now let's see if it is installed or not. So the command to verify it, sudo yum list install is going to give me all the installed softwares. I'm gripping that. So grep HTTPD. See, it already installed this. I did not do anything. The moment my machine came up, it automatically installed it. So now I can simply go ahead, sudo systemctl start HTTPD. It started. Let's verify sudo systemctl HTTPD status. It is running. Now let's go ahead and access this. So how do we access? We need to go to the public IP address and the port, which is 80. It is not working because of security group. So remember, I told you, right? So we launched a VM here and we have a security group protecting us. We only allowed port 22, but this service is running on 80. So 22 has a different, it can only give you SSH, but port 80 is a HTTP. Okay, so SSH doesn't work. So 80 means again I need to open up 80 port, so that on 80 port you will get a different. It's nothing but you have your complete house. Okay, so if you enter, so let's suppose you have your complete building. Okay, so floors, first floor, second floor, third floor. So kitchen is in first floor. So if you have access to first floor, you can only go to the kitchen. So if the second floor is your study room, so if you want to go to the study room, you have to have access to the second floor, right? That is what the port 80 is. So different ports has a different purpose. So it is blocked now. Now let me go ahead and open up the security groups as well. So each and every machine has its own security group. So we can do like this, or we can also do like this. So like every machine. So this is a machine, this is the machine, and this is the machine. So you can create security group. Each and every machine will have its own security group, or you can also have machine under one security group as well. So if you open 22, then all these three machines can access. If you open 80, all these three machines can access. Okay, this is what you can also configure it. But currently we have security group for each and every machine separately. So this machine has security group of this, where it is security. This is the group which says launch wizard 7, right? So now I go to the security groups here. Where is security groups? Why it is so slow today? So mine is launch wizard 7. I open this one. Inbound rule 22 is only open at the moment. I open this one. I add a rule. I am going to add HTTP. 80 by default comes here. So target is anyone can access it, and then save the rule. Now rule is saved, right? Now let me access this one. See, website is came up. This is what the rule is. Now let me go ahead and change this HTTPD from port 80 to different port. So how do you do that? I'll show it. So now this is my box, right, in which my server is running. Okay, I take the first down systemctl stop HTTPD. This is completely down now. If I refresh it, it is gone. Okay, so now I go to my settings HTTPD. Yeah, so I go to the conf directory. So in the conf, I have HTTPD configuration here. Okay, I edit that one sudo vi httpd.conf. I look for the word called port. So the ports are here. See, it's currently listening on port 80. So I'm going to change this to 8080, different port. So I saved it now. Now let me run this. Same sudo systemctl start httpd. It is started. Let's check the status as well. So it is running. Now let me go ahead and try to access it. It is not working. Why? See, I'm trying to refresh.
Port,
It is
because
not
we
Put
working.
have
port,
the rule for port 80 and
port in
change
a
it to
security group.
80.
Exactly. The reason behind this. So now we shifted our study room from second floor to third floor. But I have access to only third floor. I don't have access, sorry, second floor. I don't have access to third floor. That's why I'm not accessing it. Again, now we need to open up. So I go to the security group that is running, edit inbound rule, add another rule. Now, where is the 8080 port? Do we know? We don't know. So I choose custom TCP port. And then I add the port number 8080. So allow everybody can access it. And then save rule. So I saved it now. Now let me go ahead and access it. But still 80, this one, it's 8080, right? I need to use colon 8080. It's working now. Clear? That's what the our rule is. Security groups are. Any doubts on this?
Nope.
Okay. So now, which is good. Now let's talk about bit of NACL. Okay. So what is NACL is and why do we use it here? So now we clear that this is how it works. So now we have our so now we have our VM, okay, and we protected this by using a security group, right? This is our security group, okay, which says allow. Now we know that security group we can manage port 22 and port something, right? Now let's discuss about another concept called NACL. So I'm not quite sure whether NACL sits outside or inside, but I'm using outside here now. NACL means Network Access Control List. So again, it's another layer of security. So why do we use NACL here? And why do we security group? And what is a VM? So we know VM, we know security group now. So NACL, we don't know. What is that NACL here is? So NACL will again give you another layer of protection. NACL is a stateless. Stateless means you have multiple rules, inbound and the outbound. So inbound, if you say allow 22, it can only allow 22. Again, outbound also you need to write a rule. But whereas security group, so if you say inbound allow 22, by default, outbound also gets allowed. But whereas NACL, you need to write a rule for outbound as well. That's a stateless. Okay. So now why we use NACL here? Because now we opened up our website to internet. Anyone can access it. But there is a one guy is keep trying to hack my system. And you know the IP address. How do you prevent that? So you want to block only that guy IP address and allow everyone else. One use case. And second use case, let's suppose we have a YouTube or a Google. So in China, it is not allowed. They're not supposed to access this one. So you need to open up your website to entire world, but except one specific country. Then how do you do that? Same. We can use a NACL. It's a broad example. We have other use case of managing that. But if you talk about general example, this is how you protect it, NACL. So that's what we use NACL here. So now let's
excuse me. Yeah, so basically like security groups will allow if you add inbound rule 22, it automatically adds outbound too. So NACL now, like if you want to block someone, will act as a filter.
Yes. Okay. So even though you have security group allowed, so NACL will verify. So if you have a NACL added, then it first verifies or says, okay, NACL is, so this IP I need to block. I'll block it. Even though security group is allowing, network access control block it. Says, no, you are not allowed to access this box.
So it's like an IP filtering.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so now let's go ahead and verify that NACL as well. So you guys, I'm just pasting this in the chat group. Just try to access. So you can also access my website. There is a chat. So try accessing this in your laptop. So you will access this. Okay. So now I wanted to block one particular machine. So let me see my IP. So this is my IP, I think. I want to convert this.
Yeah, we can access it.
You can access it, right? So now I wanted to block one particular IP address. Yeah, man. Yeah, what is my IP? Will give the details. This is my IP address. How can I? Yeah, this is my IP address. My public IP address. Okay. So now let me try to block this myself. Okay. So I'm going to the NACL. Where is the NACL? It's in VPC. I go to the VPC. Why it is so slow? I go to the NACL, Network Access Control list here. Not sure whether AWS is slow or my network is slow. Okay, so these are all the network access control list. So by default, already these got created for every VPC. Okay, so the VPC which my machine exists is here. I think my machine is slow. So it is inside my default VPC, I think. Yeah, it is using the 172 default VPC. So I will go ahead. I go to the VPC. Come on. VPC, this is the default VPC. I select this one and then, sorry, network ACLs. So currently, if I select this, I have inbound rules. So what it says, all traffic, all. So by default, it is allowing me. So all the traffic is allowed. And outbound rule is also allow. So we have the rule number here, 100 star. It's all priority. So whichever rule is less number will be executed first. Okay, now I'm going to add an inbound rule here, edit inbound rule. I'm going to add the rule. Let's say I add rule number 150. We can pick whatever we want. So which traffic you want to block? All the traffic? All the traffic you want to block? Okay, I'll block all the traffic. So all TCP, everything is blocked from the internet. But I don't want to block from internet. Rather, I want to block on specific IP. So now let me choose my IP. We usually get my IP here. This is my IP. I hopefully this will allow me paste. Now I said deny. Don't allow that guy. So it says IP4 CADR block we need to provide. Yeah. Just adding save. So now you see I have added the rule 150. All the traffic, this IP address, this source should be denied. But if you observe carefully, the rule, in NACL, only one rule becomes true, not all the rules. Okay. The first rule says, this is the top rule. So if this fails, then only the second rule will be verified. So in my case, the first rule which says allow all the traffic. So this rule becoming true, right? So this doesn't go to second rule. So now I need to change the priority of this one. So I go here, I change this to 99. Now save it. See now 99, my rule first. So source is, if the source is this guy, then deny the traffic. If source is not this guy, then go for another rule. What is this rule? All traffic 0 to 0 allow. So now allow everyone, but block this guy first if it is requesting. Now let me go ahead and give a try. So where is my website? This is my website, right? And let me access. See, it is still rotating. So if I open up another browser, incognito mode, say it is blocked. I cannot access it because the NACL is preventing me. You guys can access this. If you want to try, give a try. Can you access?
Yeah, we are able to. I
But
can access.
I cannot access because NACL is blocking me. But everybody is accessing except me. The reason behind this, I have added a NACL rule here, which becomes true. So what is the true? It says and said deny. One. Yeah, so that is what the NACL rule is. Clear? So in a company, you can it can be interview question. People say, so somebody trying to hack a machine, but I wanted to allow everyone, but block only few specific IP ranges. Then what do you do? We do the NACL, Network Access Control List. Okay, so I think NACL sits inside the layer. So this is the, I think. So we have a machine here, and this is our NACL, and this is our security group on top. So event security group allows port 22. I'm still blocking here for one specific IP. Okay. So that's about your NACL and the security groups. Any doubts on this, guys?
No.
Lokesh, you are giving the rule number and these all things, right? So how you are giving that rule number?
You can pick up. So whichever rule you want to become true. So this is like a if condition. Only one condition becomes true, not all the conditions. So whichever condition becomes true first will be executed. So this rule is the first rule, right? So it matches. So source is in this my when I tried. So this rule becoming true for me. So this says deny. So it is complete deny. For your use case, so this is becoming false because your source is not this IP. So you are following verifying another rule. What is the next rule? 100 rule. It says anyone can be allowed.
Okay.
Now I can also
So
change this. So now see, I go to edit inbound rule. So I'm only allowing myself and I'm blocking entire world. See, 99 rule says allow only this one and deny everyone. Now I save this. So I'm allowing only to this guy and blocking everyone. So now if I go ahead and test myself incognito mode, I can access. Now you guys try, you don't access it.
okay. But how do you know the numbers like rule 99 and rule
You can
100
pick
and
up, you
90?
can pick random, you can pick anyone.
Okay, any number, right?
Yes, you can pick any number. So now I know that another person, so someone give me their public IP, whoever is testing, like Anuya is testing, right? Just give me a
Yeah.
public IP. Just go to the website, say what is my public IP, you'll
What
get
is
it.
my okay.
So now I know that Anuya is trustworthy. So I'm allowing only her access. So I'm going to add another rule here. So inbound rule, edit inbound rule, add rule. So I need to give less than this. So if I give 101 and say all, so what is the IP address?
Yeah, 1 second. I'll ping it in chat.
In chat.
74. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the IP
74
address.
point.
This 73, right?
Yeah, 73.210.
Yeah, I copied it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have copied here /32 gives me the one IP and then allow. So now I allowed Anuya as well. So when she tries, so first this rule, which is 19 gets triggered. It verifies is the source falling in this IP range. It becomes false. So again, it goes to second rule. Second rule, is it becoming true? Yes, it becomes true for her because she is from internet. So it denies. The third rule will not be verified for her because the second rule becomes true, right? That's why the third and fourth rule will not be executed. So now this is the wrong order because I trust her. So she has to be above than deny. So again, I go here. Now this is 100, right? So now I'm going to make this to 98
Okay.
and save it. So now she becomes top first rule. So 98 means now. So if she tries, she can access my website. So if I try, this rule becomes false for me. And this rule becomes true for me, which is allow, I can access. If other than us, if you guys try like Sangam or Prakash, then this becomes true for them, which says deny. They cannot access it. Okay, that's what it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, now I
So
think
it
uh-huh.
Here,
you
whomever
still cannot access because
access.
I
Yeah, yeah.
said port range is 0. So
Okay.
I need to change the port range.
Change
So you only 8080, right? I can only allow you to 8080. Now try, it will work.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Yeah, that is what the NACL is.
So
Okay.
it will
Mhm.
start taking the rules in ascending order, right?
Yes,
We
ascending order. So whichever
okay.
rule becomes true will be executed. If none of the rule becomes true, then we have a default rule, which is star, which is deny.
All okay.
But
All
before
traffic.
that, we already added deny rule here.
Okay.
This works for entire VNet. Okay, remember this is for entire VNet, not for the security group, because we are configuring this at the VNet level. Okay, so this applies to all the IPs, not only one single machine. Okay.
All the IPs in
Yes,
the
all the IPs
in
in
that
this VNet.
particular VPC, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Sorry, VPC. I have been working on Azure, so I'm using VNet. So VPC, yeah. So you can also have a subnet association. So if you want to avoid and keep it only for few subnets, you can create new security group and add those subnets over there. Like the way we did with routing rules, right? So we have two different routes created and we added specific subnets. You can also do it here that way. So that's about your NACL and security groups. And let's talk about some more VPC concepts quickly. Still, we have some little bit of time. Instance types. So we discussed this, like we have a T2 micro, M4 large, and C series, M series, T series. So they can explain. So based on your need, you can pick the series of the machine which we want, which you guys want. And then we have launch template. Launch template probably I will cover in next class. So spot requests. Spot requests are nothing but your machine. So let's suppose you purchased a machine. You purchased a machine, so which is 32 CPU and a 64 RAM. So you purchase for one application and you purchase for complete 1 year from AWS. So down the line 6 months, your application is not doing well. You want to stop the business. So you can sell the machine back to the AWS because AWS cannot take it because already you bought for 1 year. Rather, what it gives you a platform where you can trade your VMs. So now I got my machine, which for $100 I used for 6 months. So remaining 6 months will be $50, right? So now I'm selling this for $45. So if some other company also looking for similar configuration, similar price, then the machine will be transferred to them automatically. That's what the spot instance is. So let's suppose you are looking for one machine. The spot instance, spot request means now you bid for it. So I want this machine, this configuration. And then if that configuration money is available in the market, then it will be transferred to you. Let's suppose you bid for a 4 GB RAM, 16 CPU, no sorry, 4 CPU and 16 GB RAM for $12. Okay, so you quoted, somebody is available, you got it. If someone else quoted for same configuration for $13, then the machine will be transferred to him immediately without your notice. That's why we have to play a bit smart here. So if we are purchasing a machine in spot request, then whatever data we are writing, it should be pre-configured. Sorry about that. My kid hit the volume button, so it went up. So that is what the spot requests. And then we have some plans as well, savings plans. I don't know what this. So reserved instances. Reserved instances means, so you are going to reserve the instances. So you know that you are going to run the application. So you need at least your machine for 1 year. So if you reserve that instance, then you will be charged less because the on-demand instances are always costly. So if you want a machine right away, they'll charge you $5. If you say, I want the same machine for 1 year, it will come for $2 only. That is the reason why we have a reserved instance. And apart from that, it is guaranteed that these machines are allotted to you. So in case if you want to repurpose that, you can also repurpose those machines. And then dedicated hosts. Dedicated host means, as I told you, right? So we have a complete blade. So if you want all your VMs to be launched in the same host rather than multiple hosts, so that no one else can launch their VMs. So the similar way. So now we have machines, right? So this is my blade. You can also call it as a host. So here you have a VMs. So this can be my, and this can be Open's VM. So my company is different, his company is different. So now there is some people don't like this scenario. So they want to have their dedicated host, only their VMs to be launched here. The reason behind is, so they may be having some security data. So AWS takes care of wiping complete data, but still they don't want to have some other X people to launch their VMs on this. So by launching all the VMs in one host gives good network, good speed, security, everything. But the problem with this is, if this host goes down, something wrong, then none of your VM will work. That's a risk over there. Because if the host goes down, you cannot launch the VMs. Okay, that's what about the host is. So some companies go for dedicated host and they have their plans. Schedule instances. So schedule instances are like, they are scheduled. So you are running an e-commerce site. So your e-commerce site means, you know that at the during the seasons, like month end, you see your services being used because people get the salary. Or during the season, let's suppose you have set up a e-commerce site that is native to your country, maybe in Nepal or maybe in India. Let's suppose we have a Dashera festival common across both countries, right? So in Dashera, so you have you know that many people try to purchase products, like they purchase saris, cloths, utensils, whatever it is. So you know that, so during the October, November time, so you have so much of traffic peak to your e-commerce site. So then you can plan in advance. So I want my machines to be reserved from this date to this date. So currently I have 4 VMs, but during that time, I want 8 VMs, double the capacity. You can schedule those. So if you inform them in advance, then AWS knows that, okay, you definitely need the VMs during this time. So they will arrange, they'll purchase the hardware for you and make everything ready. The day when it comes, you automatically gets whatever you asked for. That is a good thing, because AWS doesn't know, right? So they have some capacity. It's like our purchasing something in a Walmart or Kruger. So if you go and ask for one, let's say you want to ask for some 10 apples, so they have it ready, they would give you. If you ask for 1,000 apples, they don't have stock. So if you inform them, I may need 1,000 apples on this day, 1 month in advance, then they'll go and go to the farm and buy the apples and make them ready for you, right? It's like ordering. Like similarly, with chicken biryani. If you want to order for the whole family, you need to order in advance. Similar way. That's all about scheduled and reserved instances. And then, did I click that? We have capacity reservations. So capacity means, as I told you, so we are going to reserve the capacity. So for my company, so these many VMs are reserved. So I can repurpose it later. So I want 100 CPUs. I want this much of memory, and I want these many instances. Those are reserved for me. Capacity. I can use it later whenever I want. That's all about the capacity reservations. And then AMI. So AMI I will tell you how to create the AMI and how do we repurpose that. And then volume, snapshot, life cycle. So probably we'll discuss these two in next week, and then these two in Sunday and Sunday. Okay. So do you guys have any doubts on the topics that we covered today and yesterday? Yes, no, maybe?
We have to do more practice on this.
Yeah. There is no alternative. So the practice only, then only you'll understand all this.
Then we can tell you it's clear what is
Yeah.
doing on, what is going on around.
So if all these concepts are new to you, so what you can do that you just simply follow the video, whatever is explained, and don't try to do anything additional, so that once you make everything up and running as it is, then you get some knowledge and the confidence. The next time, try to do the same thing without watching the video. So by that, you will remember, okay, why we did this step, why we have to do that step. That is the best way I would recommend. So if possible also, you can also make a note of that as well. So if you still want to remember more, then try to explain to someone else. It's the best way that you remember forever. I have been teaching this, so I don't need to review it before coming the class because it's in my memory now the same way. So just try to explain it to someone else if possible. I mean, because if you understood first, then only you will make someone else understand, right? If you are not clear yourself, then you cannot make others clear. So that's why you practice well. If you know that this is how it works, then try to explain it yourself or someone, assuming yourself, or make a note of everything. That's the best thing. You'll remember for longer time. Okay.
So anything on the interview question on this topic?
Yes. So what we are going to do, so we will discuss the interview questions after completion of the topic. So once we're done with the AWS, then we
Okay.
one day would discuss on what type of questions they may ask, how we need to prepare ourselves. So that
Sure.
if I explain the interview, I will be giving interview questions whenever I finish that topic. So and as well, I will end of the session, end of the topic complete. Then you will have a complete list of walkthrough, like what are those questions and how do we tackle that.
Okay.
So and then one more thing I'll tell you. So don't limit yourself what we cover in these sessions. So whatever we cover will help you only maybe 30 to 50%, but remaining is completely in your hands. Because we discussed about EC2, we discussed about NACL now, right? So come up with some other. So why we missed all this? What are those we use for it? Because whatever we discuss in these sessions are basic and essentials that required for you to join a company before. Okay. So once you have this knowledge, try to focus on some other areas as well. Let's suppose we have so many services here, like in EC2 itself. So I have been using a T2 micro, right? Try to use other service as well, other VM as well, and see what's the difference. We only gave the Red Hat, right? Try to see Ubuntu. Why we didn't use the Ubuntu one? Give me a sec. Hey, yeah, that is the thing. So use a Ubuntu one, so you can give anything. So
Lokesh, if you
uh-huh.
use the Ubuntu and remaining things that will charge, right?
No, it depends. So if you use the basic one, they don't charge. Even Ubuntu has a basic one. So if I go to the EC2 and then launch the instance, so we have other VMs as well. See, so we have Ubuntu, which is in free tier eligible. Try launching this VM and see. So you have been using EC2 user as a user, right? But when you launch the Ubuntu, so you may have a different user account. It may be Ubuntu, I think. I doubt it's Ubuntu, yeah. I think this will give you the password as well access. And what else? Any more questions, guys?
Lokesh, in Ubuntu also, GitHub and these all things also same, right?
Yes, everything is same. The commands are same, but in
Okay.
Ubuntu, so there the packet manager is different. So we have been using yum, right? So but here we use the apt-get install stdpd.
Okay.
It is a packet manager. So there is some small difference in the repo as well. So all the repos we have inside the yum.repos.d in Red Hat and CentOS. But when we talk about Ubuntu, it will be /apd/apt, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, you were talking about the certifications, right? I mean, as we see in some of the courses, like in Udemy and everything, we have like probably like 30 hours. I mean, it would take about like 2 to 3 months for sure, right, to clear one.
Yeah. So let me pause the recording. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm just resuming the recording now. Okay. So for the certificate, sorry, you were saying about services, right? Yes. So completely
Yeah.
based upon the a company environment. So let's suppose your company is Netflix. So you join Netflix company. So Netflix company, what they do, they mainly focus on the streaming processes and the media services, right? And the storage services, right? And also how you are routing the traffic, how you are doing the content delivery. This all the focus. So they mainly focus on these services. They don't focus on some other services which you don't need. And if you talk about the banking, they talk about more security. So they focus on the security, NACL, security groups, and the IAMs and all. And if we talk about some normal company who is building their websites, so they just focus mainly on database and the public IPs and the route 50. That's it. They don't discuss on the elastic cache. They don't discuss on the Hadoop concepts. They don't discuss on anything. AWS is just like a place. They just wanted to capture entire industries, because there are some industries who are into the mainly into the security, industries networking, industries in the media, industries in the telecommunications, all this. So that's why they capture. It's completely based on the company. That's why what we do, so we cover the topics that are mostly used. So you will definitely come to know, because VM is mandatory. VPC is mandatory. You cannot spin up your EC2 machine without a VPC. Even to spin up database, you need to have a VPC created. So we focus on those areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which one do you advise for DevOps, like SysOps certification or solutions architect?
You can pick anyone. So there is no thing. So I finished SysOps, but many people do the solution architect.
Okay.
Solution architect will give you overall picture of how you can architect an application. Let's suppose you have a website and how you architect it. So with basic, if you talk about, so we need to have at least 2 VMs. Okay, one VM goes down, we have another VM. So what if VM completely, both VM goes down? And how do I recover the data? So you need to choose database. So I need to have a database. Again, which database you want it? And again, what type of database it is? So what is the syncing replication process? What is the replica sets? So these are all coming to the picture again. So it's purely, that's why solution architect will give you all the information. SysOps will make you work on the services as a DevOps engineer. But both are good. Yeah, you can go for a solution architect, I would recommend, because many people prefer that.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Yeah, that's it.
No? Yeah, cool then. So we'll do again Saturday. We'll discuss on the remaining EC2 concepts and other stuff. Yes. Thanks, guys. Have a nice remaining Sunday.
Thank you.